All right, think about this. Over 2,000 years ago, a battle was fought, but not with swords and shields. Nope. It was fought with words and fear. And what's wild is that it gives us this timeless playbook for the war that happens inside our own heads. So let's break down this ancient strategy for psychological warfare, because it's more relevant today than you might think. Okay, so picture this. You've got the mighty Assyrian army rolling up to the gates of Jerusalem. This is all laid out in the ancient account of Isaiah chapter 36. And you'd think their first move would be, battering rams and arrows, right? Wrong. Their first move wasn't a physical assault at all. It was something way more subtle and, honestly, a lot more dangerous. The guy in charge of this operation, the Assyrian envoy, an official they called the Rabshakeh, he doesn't even bother with the main gate. Instead, and get this, he picks a spot that was just strategically brilliant for a mental attack. It proves right off the bat that the real siege, the one that mattered, had nothing to do with those stone walls. So where does he go? He plants himself right at the conduit of the upper pool. Now, what does that mean? It means he's standing at the city's main water source, their lifeline. Before a single arrow is even notched, he's basically got his hand on their faucet. This is a classic tactic, something we now call resource anxiety. You make people panic about their most fundamental needs, in this case water, and you've already won half the battle. You get them to defeat themselves from the inside out.
So how exactly did he pull this off? Well, this wasn't just some random guy yelling threats. Oh no, this was a sophisticated, multi-pronged psychological assault. And you can actually break it down into a really clear 4-step playbook.
The whole strategy was designed to just crumble the city from the inside. It goes like this. Step 1, you weaponize their own language against them. Step 2, you discredit their leaders. Step 3, you offer them a false promise, a fake way out. And finally, step 4, you just overwhelm them with a tidal wave of doubt. Let's watch how this whole thing unfolds. All right, so tactic number 1. The leaders of Jerusalem, they're not dumb. They see exactly what's going on. And they plead with this Rabshakeh guy. They're like, hey, please, can you speak to us in Aramaic? That was the official language of diplomacy. Their reason? So the people on the wall can't understand you. But he absolutely refused. And his reply was just brutal and totally deliberate. He insists on speaking in the local language, Judeite. Why? His goal was to completely bypass the leaders and aim his humiliating, terrifying words directly at the regular folks, the soldiers and citizens standing on that wall. He wanted to shatter their morale, make them feel ashamed, and plant this disgusting image in their heads that their own leaders were leading them to starvation and ruin. Okay, so he's got everyone's attention now, right? He's instilled some serious fear. So he moves right on to tactic number 2, and this is a big one. His goal now is to completely sever the people's trust in their king, Hezekiah, and, by extension, their trust in their God. And listen to how he does it. You've got to notice the repetition here. It's just this relentless hammering. Don't be deceived by Hezekiah. Don't let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord. Don't listen to Hezekiah. The message couldn't be clearer. The guy you trust is lying to you. The God you believe in can't save you. He's trying to isolate them, to cut them off from their only sources of hope and authority. And now comes the masterstroke of manipulation. After pumping them full of fear and doubt, the attacker does a complete 180. He pivots and offers them a way out, a really tempting one. The only problem? It's a complete and total lie. This part is so diabolically clever. The Rabshakeh actually mimics the language of God's own promises from their scriptures. He's offering them a land like your own, a land of grain and new wine. It sounds amazing. But here's the hidden truth. This was a known Assyrian military policy. It was a lie. The real plan was forced resettlement. It was a tactic they used to completely uproot a people, destroy their culture, sever their connection to their homeland and their God, and basically turn them into nameless, stateless cogs in the Assyrian Empire. Okay, so we're at the final phase of the attack. Tactic number 4, and this is just a rapid-fire, machine gun-style barrage of questions. It's designed to corner your mind, to make you feel trapped, and to make any thought of resistance seem completely illogical and, frankly, stupid. He starts laying out his historical proof. He's like, look around. Has the God of any nation ever saved them from us? All these other nations, with all their powerful gods, they all fell. See what he's doing? He's lumping the God of Israel in with every other defeated pagan deity. The question is a total trap.
He's basically asking, so what makes you so special? What makes your faith any different? He's using cold, hard logic to make their faith look completely foolish.
So, I mean, think about it. The assault is overwhelming. The playbook is brutally effective. How in the world do you defend against an attack like that? An attack that targets your deepest thoughts, your trust in your leaders, your core beliefs? Well, the answer is incredibly simple, and at the same time, unbelievably profound.
King Hezekiah gives his people a command. Just 4 simple words. But these 4 words changed the entire dynamic of the battle. The people on that wall, they heard all the threats, all the lies, all the temptations, and they just said nothing. Absolute silence. And you have to understand this silence was not weakness. It wasn't fear. It was an act of incredible strength and spiritual discipline. Let's call it what it is, strategic silence. It was a complete and utter refusal to engage the enemy on his chosen battlefield of lies and manipulation.
So why was this so powerful? Well, think about it. By refusing to argue, they refused to validate the enemy's lies. You don't argue with a lie because arguing gives it a platform. They didn't get sucked into a fight they couldn't win with words, a debate that was rigged from the start. This silence preserved their internal resolve, their unity. And maybe most importantly, it created a space, a quiet moment, for a different kind of power to act. They effectively took the fight off the wall and handed it over to a higher authority.
So let's bring this all home. What does this ancient story have to teach us today, right now? Well, the core lesson is this. The most critical walls you will ever have to defend aren't made of stone. They're the walls inside, the walls of your mind, your heart, and your spirit.
And that is the ultimate takeaway here. The battle is always won or lost on the inside first. If you surrender internally, if your resolve collapses and you give your mind over to fear and doubt, then it doesn't matter how high your external walls are, they mean nothing. The primary battlefield was then, and it is now, the mind.
And that really leaves us with a final question for you to think about. I mean, we are just bombarded every single day with voices trying to shape our reality, create anxiety, and discredit the things we hold true. So in the middle of all that noise and information warfare, what is the silent ground that you need to defend? What battlefield will you simply refuse to step onto so that you can win the war that truly matters?